I had a discussion topic thrown at me of something to give a try to, and it's around kids. Why are kids, or kid characters, I should say, in comics often terrible? So first off, I think it's worth asking, is that true? And then what's the basis behind that? Hey everybody, this is Perch. A while back, I got a topic that I should pick up of like, why are kids in comics, meaning fictional kids characters, not comics for kids? Why are those characters so terrible? And or why are they written so strangely? The kids are written in a really abnormal, strange way. So it's an interesting question because on the surface of it, I would disagree with big aspects of it because I was a big fan of Power Pack back in the day, back in the 80s. I thought it was a good book. I like that team. I like the kids in it. I think even more recent efforts like Avengers Academy and some of those books, obviously those aren't kids and more teen, young adult, but still I thought that was done well. I thought the original Runaways series was done well. I think the Shazam family often had good moments. The Flash family as well. I thought those kids were written fairly nice. Impulse, Young Justice. So I think there's a lot of examples of where there are good kid characters. I definitely think that there's some truth to that. I think the problem, if I'm being, honest and objective about it, though, I think there is a problem with kid characters in more recent times, and this is where you have, well, the kids are being written not as kids; they're being written as kind of young adults. There's this thing in Hollywood and in a lot of TV shows where the kids have to be wise, where the kids are, will impart that little bit of, unknown kid wisdom to the adults that kind of complete a picture or give them some deeper understanding about life and so on. And I think that is it's a trap. I think comics fall into that because I think a lot of the writers who are writing both kids and young adult work in many cases don't really have a good connection to either kids or young adults. I remember reading an interview with God, I want to say Kelly Thompson, but that doesn't sound right. And so I'm not. It wasn't her, but there was a writer at Marvel. They're talking about kids, and they're saying that hey, I've got a good grasp of kids, of how kids are, how the kids behave, because my cousin or my sister has kids, and every now and then I'll go over there and kind of babysit and hang out with the family, and it gives me a good insight into kids. And I would argue, as a parent, that will not give you a good insight into kids. That's you're missing some big core elements. But if you have that plus kind of very common in comics, your inspiration for a lot of things is Hollywood, and you have these characters that are being written for Hollywood as these like super intelligent kids who are wise beyond their years, who understand kind of social dynamics and big hard topics like racism or poverty or income inequity and it's like you insert that into a kid's mouth because it's kind of it creates a funny moment, and but it reads very, very awkward. It doesn't read like a human being, and I think that's the problem with a lot of current comics. And this is where you get to like things like the Unbeatable Wasp, or was it Unbreakable Wasp? I don't know, the Wasp book. And even the Future Foundation, some of these, what's going on in Fantastic Four right now, the new version of Young Justice that's happening over in DC. These books, the kids are, it's like we're taking Joss Whedon kind of snark dialogue, we're making them super intelligent beyond their years, and we're kind of shoving them through, and it doesn't feel like a kid experience. If you're an adult reading this doesn't remind you of kids. It reminds you of just kind of smaller, more impulsive versions of adults. And or if you're a kid, it's not anything you can relate to. And this is where I think there's a problem in comics of trying to attract new readers and trying to attract kids. We've talked about it before, but one of the things that you hear a lot in comics is that people need to be able to see themselves in the comic. That this idea of representation matters in the comic. And I did a video before of like, that's not, and some people dismiss that out of hand, saying, oh, nobody wants this. That's not true. I think that representation does matter. I think it does help if people can see themselves in the book. I think that, but it has to be authentic. And just like it sometimes goes awry for LGBTQ characters that are written poorly, or characters that are of a different race, but it's clear they just slapped a different color on the character, and then every now and then they'll say some very stereotypical thing. It doesn't sound or act like a real person of color, or any of that. It seems like somebody's trying too hard. It seems fake. The same thing is true with kids. You can't just say, well, draw this person smaller and we'll have them be kind of sassy, and we'll talk about, I've been doing the science in school for 3 years, Dad. Geez. It's like somebody saw the joke on The Incredibles 2 where Mr. Incredible is trying to teach Dash how to do new math, and Mr. Incredible is frustrated by it, like, why is there a new math? And just irritated. And it's like somebody saw that and then basically said, well, this is as much as we need to do. We'll just copy the same joke, the same gag over and over and over again. And that's it. And that's the problem is that none of this stuff's authentic. So I think there's a very valid argument to say that kid characters in modern books, meaning in the last 10 years or so, have really taken a steep decline. They don't seem like kids anymore. But I might argue that's true of everything. There's a lot of cases these characters are a lot more two-dimensional than they used to be. But I think if you're interested in seeing really kind of authentic, cool kid characters, there is lots of stuff in the backlog. You can go to Young Justice, you can go to Power Pack, you can go see these books in the 90s or even early 2000s, and you can get some, or 80s. You can get some really good characters there that I think are pretty cool and worth paying attention to. That's just me. But anyway, what about you? Are there some kid characters that you've really loved that have been exciting and strong for you? Are there some that you absolutely despise or hate? Do you think things have gotten worse, gotten better? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications if you care to. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.